straight out to former Army sharpshooter sniper Koa Lorimer. Koa, thank you for being with us. I'd like you to take a look, if you can, from your monitor of what we have seen. A dark-clad figure is above the Sparks Automotive building. That's just one of the shots we have of the perp. And I'll just go ahead and say him, because statistically this is a man. Observe Koa. He is in dark clothing, clad all in dark. He dressed up for the event. This was an event, which I'm going to get into with our other guests later, that had been planned for weeks and months. There he is right there. There he is, and he actually jumped off the building. Why is it significant that we know this event had been planned for some time? Because anybody following Kirk would know exactly where he was going to be. And Koa Lorimer, he was in the most vulnerable position at the bottom of a pit, basically in a fishbowl with little security. But for your purposes, Koa, I want you to explain to me how you can get a shot. We've been told this is about 200 yards away from where Charlie Kirk was speaking. How do you do that?
So, Nancy, you would want to use a high-powered rifle like I have right here. This is a bolt-action rifle used for precision shooting. It has a high-powered scope to magnify your target, and it keeps your target very clear. This would also be someone that has experience shooting or has been trained. You take anybody off the street, they're not going to be able to make a shot like this.
How unusual is it for, let's just say, someone of your caliber, a sharpshooter, a sniper, trained specifically to be a sniper? How rare is it to get off a shot 200 yards? Is that normal for an Army sniper, or is that unique?
For an Army sniper, it's very normal. I think the minimum distance of our qualifications starts at 300 yards and goes out to 1,000.
That was not what I was expecting you to say. I thought it was going to be rare. But you're saying for an Army sniper of your caliber, a 200-yard shot, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I don't like that. You know why I don't like that? Because I thought it would be more rare for somebody to pull off a shot like that, Koa Lorimer. But because it's not rare, that widens my pool of suspects. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Koa, all right, 200-yard shot. Don't you have to prepare for that? I mean,
You would have to
I
practice
find
at
it
the
hard to
range.
believe this is the first time this guy climbed to the top of Sparks Automotive and laid there and tried to get the shot. I think he had to have gone up there before to a sniper's nest and prepare. He had to have been up there to see where they were putting the tent. He had to be up there beforehand. My point is surveillance video and who was on the grounds prior to the shooting could reveal who is the shooter. Now, Koa, explain to me what you have to do to prepare to pull off a shot like that.
Well, the shot isn't just out of luck. The shooter obviously had prior training. He also had to conduct a reconnaissance operation to see where he was shooting, right, where Charlie was going to be at. This obviously was planned. His exit plan was also planned. So this guy didn't get lucky. It took some very intense planning.
Back to Koa Lorimer joining us, former Army sniper who put in literally thousands of hours to become a sharpshooter. You said it's not just luck. But what about this? Would, for instance, an Army sniper shoot into a crowd of civilians?
You had to be very planned and calculated, right, just to hit Charlie and not to shoot any other unarmed civilians. He was obviously training at a range prior to. And if you look at the range logs, that's probably a telltale sign of who was there.
Koa, brilliant, brilliant. You know how a lot of sharpshooters have been brought down? By doing just what you just said. Looking at every range, even remote ones within a 25-mile radius to find out who has been practicing. Koa, you're dead on. You know this guy practiced and practiced and practiced long-range shooting. How does that work, Koa?
You practice long range shooting by shooting in different environment types, taking the wind into account. You just have to have time and a lot of rounds downrange.
Okay, back to you, Koa. Explain, what is a bolt action weapon?
This right here, Nancy, is an example of a bolt action weapon. This itself is the bolt action. It opens and closes. So every time you shoot, you have to chamber another round. This is an example of one of the rounds that the shooter could have been
Hold it up,
shooting.
please.
This is a 308, and it's one of the
Oh,
most common
my
rounds.
stars. Just wait a minute. Hold on. I've got to look at that. Zoom in on him. That is the type of bullet that went through Charlie's neck. That is the type of bullet that killed Charlie Kirk. Look at that. This SOB has got to be caught and put on trial. Explain to me, what type of ballistic is that? What type of bullet is that, Koa?
This is a 308. It's normally used for the Army uses it to take down enemy personnel. It's also used for hunting large game, such as deer, black bear, and wild hogs.
Straight back out to Koa Lorimer, former Army sniper, sharpshooter. The type of weapon specifically is a 30-06 caliber, high-powered bolt action. It's a military rifle, very popular with hunters. Several bullets, including a spent round found in the rival's chamber, were recovered. Explain.
So 30-06 is extremely common among hunters all across the United States, especially in those Midwest states. And leaving the round, expended round in the chamber is essentially smart because you don't want to leave anything on the target. You don't want to leave anything on his sniper hide site.
What did you just say? You don't want to leave anything on his sniper what?
His sniper's nest, you were referring to. You don't want to leave anything there. So how he left the palm print.
Yeah, got you. You know, the palm print could also, gosh, I don't think it's going to be on the weapon. I think the forearm, how would a forearm print get on the weapon? Looks like he's wearing long sleeves. Where would the forearm print be found? Maybe from an earlier day when he was up there? How could you leave behind a forearm print, Koa?
The forearm print could be left behind either on the ground or on the weapon based on how looks like he's shooting laying down, which is the most stable shooting position for any long range shooter.
Back to Koa Lorimer, there's no way that security directly in front of Charlie could have protected him from a sniper at an elevated angle.
No, there's no way that they could have prevented this with security just standing right in front of him. They would have to have security a couple hundred meters out on all the buildings in the surrounding areas. It was just a bad combination.
Koa, I'd like to see the bullet that you were showing us again. Imagine that tearing through 31-year-old Charlie Kirk's throat, leaving behind a widow, a young widow, and two infant children.